of the car, it's 14th position overall. Remember though, the private cars, privately entered cars and the additional cars are invisible for manufacturers' points here. So in the manufacturers' standings right now, they're 11th.
And they're just desperate to get into the checkered flag. It's been such a gargantuan effort for the small team. Don't forget that Isotta Fraschini doesn't even have the size of McLaren. It doesn't exist. I mean, it's not a company building road cars even, not yet at least. So it's a small race team building a hypercar to take on the might of Cadillac, of Ferrari, of Toyota, of Porsche. I mean, it's absolutely David versus Goliath.
Their road car is effectively a very slightly softened version of this car, and it's parked in the village right now, a bright yellow thing. And you can, today, knock on the door of their booth, ask to speak to someone important, and leave, I'm sure, an absolute ton of euros, and you will have your very own road-going hypercar.
Claudio Berro will be very happy to talk to you, very happy indeed. Isotta Fraschini, one of the world's earliest supercar manufacturers. They built phenomenally expensive and impressive cars in the 1930s.
Targa Florio winners, Isotta Fraschini.
Yeah, and then in the Great Wall Street crash, like so many others, they vanished and have been retrieved from history to hopefully make it to the end of their first ever race at Le Mans.
They are like Volvo in one particular way, by the way. Volvo cars and Volvo trucks, not the same company. Isotta Fraschini live on in terms of the name as a marine engine manufacturer, not the same company. This is a brand new effort in the competition track and road car marketplace. All Italian owned, proudly so, with Michelotto as their partners, and pushing forwards, and what a performance they have put in.
Clement Novalak in the yellow and green into Europol car, getting caught out by the Acodis ASP Lexus. He had to go the long way round the outside. He was hoping for a gap on the inside, couldn't get through, but he's still in second place ahead of Joop van Uyten.
Well, that is Joop van Uyten, and you've got to say, did he take advantage there?
No, didn't get close. In fact, Joop van Uyten is going quite a lot more slowly, it would seem, than Clement Novalak. You mean, did Clement Novalak take advantage by not going the long way around? Well,
correct.
He tried to stay on track, but there was going to be contact, so he had to open the steering. There's Nick Minassian at Edex Sports. He's the team boss there. That's his man, Joop van Uyten, in the white car with the blue roof and dorsal fin.
It's the Matra colours. 50 years after the final win at Le Mans for that proud mark.
And in between them is the Manthey EMA car, the orange and black Porsche of Richard Lees that leads in GT3. Here, meanwhile, is the number 2 Cadillac, Alex Palou, lying in 6th position. 1 minute and 37 seconds behind the leader.
2.3 seconds, though, behind Sebastian Buemi for 5th place. And all sorts of possibilities with strategy coming here.
Yeah.
And he's got the other surviving Cadillac, the 311, right behind him. That car, by the way, way down the order, 38th place, 15th in the hypercar order. Felipe Drugovich at the wheel of that car after a couple of woes, including a trip into the barriers, the early stages of this morning at Indianapolis.
Yeah, you can see in the hypercar class we've had a few retirements. Number 20 BMW in the pit lane, number 99, and that is the Porsche hypercar from Proton Engineering. That's also in the pit lane at the moment.
I think that car may be done. That car, I think, needed to be recovered. I think it's shown as being in the pits, but I believe it may well be in Parc Fermé.
Yeah. Well, it's not shown as a retirement yet, but it probably will be.
More already expected in 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Quickest lap time on track is 54.2.
Now, those of you who've been watching the race will know that during safety car periods, of which we have had three safety cars used at Le Mans, and eventually, once the incident that triggered the safety cars has been cleared up, the queues merge into one. Cars who are in front of their class leader in the queue are waved round to the back of the queue, and then the queue is released as one. And in 4 minutes' time, that will no longer be the case. Once we get into the final hour, 3 safety cars will be used, and when the track, if they're required, and when the track goes green, the cars will be released from behind their relevant safety cars. So we will no longer have the merge, the wave-by and all the other stuff. It will just be the old way of 3 different safety cars. However, let's hope that because the visibility is decent and the rain isn't absolutely torrential yet, the cars will continue. 50 Ferrari leads, will need to stop in a couple of laps. Will that be enough to make it to the end? That's going to be very close.
I didn't do any laps on the rain, so I need a lot of laps to score.
It's okay, mate. It's okay. Yeah, take what you need. I'll just give you as much info as I can. You're doing a good job holding the Cadillac off. 2 seconds holding.
Yeah, so Sebastian Buemi saying, I haven't driven in the rain. Well, that's just one of those fortunes of war, I guess. He's struggling to try and find the outright limit, and he needs to, because the Cadillac of Alex Palou behind is trying to close hard.
So am I reading this right, Martin? So as we sit here now, the top 2 cars are 50. I'm thinking that's got to stop 2 more times, right?
Correct.
And we think, or I'm thinking, the 7 car only has to stop 1 more time.
I believe so.
Yeah, so advantage Toyota at this point.
It does seem to be that case. The key here is Jose Maria Lopez needs to keep this clean. This is the 47 car having a very wobbly moment, and off the track will rejoin. Who's aboard that car? It is Fred Vesti.
That is down. It's down at Mulsanne corner where he should have gone round the roundabout. He looped it round anyway. Probably easier to do in the rain, actually, than in the dry. So number 7, Toyota number is Jose Maria Lopez. Well, it rather depends how much fuel economy they can manage. Do Toyota, Ferrari and the rest, apart from the 50 car, only need 1 stop?
Ferrari in front is 30 seconds ahead. 30 seconds ahead. They still need to box. They still need to box.
Yeah, but in the rain, are they the leader?
The Ferrari in front is in position 1. We are currently P2, but we are offsetted in strategy. Just keep doing what you're doing. You are doing well.
Grand Tour presenter Richard Hammond and his daughter, with whom he has a highly entertaining podcast and an awful lot of fun making videos. She's turning into quite the petrol head, as obviously Richard very much is. So 50 needs to stop earlier than the rest of the field, but can the rest of the field in hypercar make it on just 1 stop? I don't know.
Also, by the way, Clement Novalak car 30, actually we car 34, not 35, under investigation for behaviour MP3. That was shortcutting the Dunlop chicane, and I do think he took advantage there. I think he eked out an advantage in ducking out of taking the apex.
Yeah, but he tried to go around the car in front and then had to avoid a collision. He didn't just go straight off.
Well, we'll
he
see.
made every effort to get around the car. I would say if there's a penalty there, that would be really harsh. However, I'm not a steward. Let's catch up with Kuba Śmiechowski at Inter Europol. Bruce Ioani is with him.
Jacob, you did the morning, you look a little bit tired, but you're P2 at the moment and catching just a tiny bit. How is it going? How's it looking?
I mean, it's looking pretty good. We're not only catching, but we also need to defend from the guys that are behind us, that are really quick as well. We managed to pull a tiny bit of a gap, so I hope we can keep it. But yeah, we focus now on the front, and we will try to catch up as much as we can and hopefully maybe fight for the win if it's possible.
Okay, well, very good luck to you. I'll let you back in front of the screen.
Thank you very much.
So Inter Europol, last year's winners, and they are still in the hunt. United Autosport lead in LMP2, but Inter Europol in 2nd place, Edex Sport in 3rd.
No further action, by the way, on car 50 for that
unsafe relief. He did go before the lollipop, but he did swerve away from the LMP2 car that was in the fast lane, so he avoided really impeding them badly. And I mean, and it took avoiding action. It was the driver error, though. That was not a team error. They did not release him. He went while the lollipop was still down. However, I think as we're in the final hour, maybe that's having a little bit of a look at that. Still no news. The 51 served a penalty for contact with number 8, didn't he? So that one has gone.
As is the door. So the two issues for, well, issue a piece for the two Ferraris now dealt with. This is a motor race, and the one remaining factor, as Rob Bell said just a few minutes ago, is that our belief is the number 7 Toyota, 33.8 seconds back from the number 50 Ferrari, will need to stop once. The number 50 will need to stop twice.
Yeah, that is entirely possible. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for both. It's going to be tight for the majority of our lead lap hypercars to make it on the one stop, but it's going to be intensely tight.
Trouble for 7.
A spin for Jose Maria Lopez. Now, the rain doesn't look quite as dramatic on the camera lenses, but the Argentine has looped it around at the Dunlop curve anyway. We'll need to take a look at that from a slightly longer run-up to see what effect traffic had. Here we go. There's always traffic offline passing the Inception McLaren. Just carried in too much speed on the wrong line, Rob, and that's what traffic can do to you when there's only a narrow bit of dry-ish tarmac.
We've seen it there all week, wet and dry, people struggling in that corner. It's just, he just lost it on the way in. Lost it on the way in.
It's asking the car to do far too many things all in one go in the dry. You're honking on at almost maximum speed in top gear, uphill through that right-hander, trying to get the weight off the left-hand side of the car, straighten it up on the nose, turn it to the left so the weight goes to the right. I mean, and in the wet, there's just not the grip.
I don't know what happened.
We are checking. Stay focused. All okay.
Could that be the defining factor? Could that be the moment?
I didn't hear that because there was a problem with my panel. What was he saying?
Didn't hear it. He was asking whether or not there was a problem with the car, and so they're saying we're checking.
Oh, so
he was apologising. He was basically he's putting his hand up and saying, "I'm sorry for that." But actually, the team said, "Well, there might be a problem," so they weren't really sure why it had happened. So, look, he just needs to get his head down and don't make that mistake again.
Yeah. Don't let the paranoia come in. Don't let the paranoia come in. Just keep your head down and go out and win this race. And right now, Toyota are well placed. Their cars are in 2nd and 5th position, and they are looking as strong as anything else out there. Here's Manthey EMA with the Iron Dames, Michelle Gatting, the Lamborghini behind. This is not for position. The leader in GT3 is a lap ahead, if I'm not reading that right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the Iron Dames have actually been passed now by the number 44 Proton Mustang. So Mustang's sitting 3rd and 4th. It is Porsche who have dominated today in LMGT3. Then the surviving BMW, then 2 of the 3 Mustangs that started this race.
And Bruce Giovanni reporting from the pit lane that it is raining more heavily once more. Which is probably not really what anyone wants to hear, especially not those who are now moving away from their lunchtime beer and baguette towards the grandstands, towards the spectator banks, towards their viewing positions, because everybody wants to be trackside as this great race finishes.
Remember this number, 14 seconds that spin cost Jose Maria Lopez.
Ooh. Now then, here's another question. How much gap does the 50 Ferrari have to build to re-emerge in the lead?
It's kind of my point. That is the kind of incident at this stage of the race that could have massive effects at the end of the race.
Well, you remember the off for the number 8 car with Real Hirakawa when he just skated off briefly at Arnage in the final hour. That took the pressure off the 51 Ferrari last year. Will that do the same for the 50 car? 51, last year's winner, by the way, a minute off the lead in 3rd, and only 13 seconds away from making it a Ferrari 1-2 right now.
That's the other point, which is it has pulled the number 51 car back into contention with the Toyota. All of a sudden, twice as much pressure.
Crikey. See, that's why people like this race, not because it beat absolutely senseless, but because it is always full of intrigue. And if you're watching this for the first time, is it always like this? Actually, Rob Bell, kind of it is.
Anyone I've ever done, there's no such thing as a plain sailing 24-hour race, but especially here. So yeah, it's one of those things that and even sometimes when you think you've broken it and you think, oh, I'm just into that morning stretch, the car's going well, there's always a sting in the tail.
Nobody that was here that year will ever forget the finish in 2016, and we're not going to pull his tail again with Ant Davidson as a key part of that drama on the final lap. And everybody said it'll never happen again, and then what happens 5 years later in LMP2? The same thing happens
exactly
again.
The same thing. The lead car retires on the very last lap of the race.
So Nicholas Nielsen here, he's into his 13th lap of this stint. So actually, if he finishes this lap and he does another 13 laps in his last stint, he might only have to do one more stop.
Wow.
Wow, sir.
Wow.
Well,
and the longer it remains wet and the full throttle running is lower and the lift and coast is more acceptable because top speeds aren't quite what they were, the closer he gets to that window. Oh, I would love to know in the 50 Ferrari camp how close they think they are. Is the rain going to save them? Oh, careful, that's 183, trying to stick his nose in under the Mustang.
The rain plus any real caution very well could.
That's really interesting. That's the first 13 lap stint he's done of the race.
He's going to come in this lap, 2% left. That's not enough to, it's barely enough to make the pit lane, but wow, what a job. Is that the race-defining stint from Nicholas Nielsen? Is it the super-fast Dane who's been promoted into the hypercar squad, who's perversely got the carpet slippers on and saved enough fuel? Now, if they come up a lap short, then that will be very heartbreaking, but you can only do what you can do with the cards you're dealt.
You may as well go for it. If you
have to go for it.
You know, you either win or lose this race. No one cares who's second, so, you may as well go for it. But the way I'm seeing it is he could potentially, if he does another 13-minute stint at a 4-minute laps, that's 52 minutes, and we're down to 51.31.
So, fresh wets surely will go on as well. You're not economising on the wets. 37 is off sideways, and that is Cool Racing's Malte Jakobsen.
Struggling to get the car going. 5 seconds, by the way, added to the next pit stop for car 34. That could cost them second place in this motor race in LMP2.
Oh no, that's Clement Novalak taking advantage and going off. Fuel but no tyres for Ferrari. They are gambling on track position. Ooh, they really don't need it to rain heavily.
Well, it's done pit lane. Jose Maria Lopez, meanwhile, in the Porsche curves now. This is a critical pit stop for the Ferrari squad. 51 took the win last year. 50 would dearly like to match that.
Now, no tyres. The disadvantage is the wet weather tyres will be worn if it gets wetter and wetter, and they're worn anyway. The advantage is they're hot. There's no extra time lost on warm-up, and that might be the difference between being close enough to the Toyotas to jump them when they pit. Everything now, everything is about time and track position.
7 car coming through to take the lead. Wow. So now, what is the gap going to be? And is this going to be close enough, Rob Bell, for Nick Nielsen to get this car home?
They think that they've got this one.
I think
they think this is their last stop, and we know the 7 car has to stop. Interesting.
Isn't it just edgy stuff?
There we go, 100% energy, 99 for the 50 car, halfway through the stint for all of its rivals. The one who's going to go furthest rather, is 8. Sebastian Buemi's car, which has got 53% energy. Or the Lamborghini. Imagine if we get a running out of fuel last couple of laps. Could the Lamborghini come and make it into a top 10 position ahead of the 94 Peugeot? Who knows? It's going to be a crazy final 49 minutes.
So the Gazoo Racing lead need to stop again. The 51 Ferrari, 15.8 seconds back, needs to stop again. Nicholas Nielsen, 2.6 seconds back. We don't know it's going to be very edgy indeed as to whether or not they need to stop again. Laurens Vanthoor in the 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport car, 12.5 seconds back and sitting to wait and see what happens ahead. In LMP2, United Autosport's Ollie Jarvis leads by 39 seconds from the 34 Inter Europol car. A car that will serve another 5 seconds in the next pit stop. Edex Sport in the 3rd position place.
Miguel, pit stop for those 5 seconds, which is costing position. It's super tight, the rain is coming back. How do you feel?
Well, we are doing the maximum. It was quite unexpected pit stop with the door, but we keep pushing. Niklas is doing a fantastic job right now in wet conditions. He's really doing what he has to do, and 48 minutes. Let's see where we are at the end of the race.
Okay, good luck. Thank you.
That was an interesting moment, Rob Bell. We'll get to that moment in a minute. That was a shortcutting of the Dunlop chicane by the 50.
Yeah, but it's not a it's a shortcut, but actually he's gone in the corner. You know, he's losing the car.
He'll take a track limits.
He'll take a track limits, and if they're bright, he could actually put his hand up and actually just say, look, I'll sacrifice a couple of seconds for that.
6th place in the pit lane is Cool Racing, and that shows how tight everything is. Malte Jakobsen's car, though, receiving attention. 37, dropping out of contention for the podium. 34 in the background, going very slowly. Clement Novalak, has he just had a little off with Nick Nielsen now? The 50 car on its way out from that pit stop. I was trying to do the maths. I might have to try and work. I was trying to work out in 47 minutes how many 127-second laps you get, and I got 14,000, and I think I must have multiplied instead of advising. How many laps are left, Anthony? Anthony, go and put a headset on, and you can, instead of waving things at me that I can't see because my eyes are too poor, you can have a chat and we can carry this through.
We have the combined brains trust at the moment of Karen Chandok and Anthony's son Rowan on this at the moment. So we'll listen what's going on with the 50 of Nick Nielsen.
Okay, when we get close, they should let us by. When we get close, they should let us by.
Are we faster than them?
Yes.
Oh.
But surely all that car has to do is conserve fuel.
What are all those cars doing going off track on the way into the Ford chicane?
Which cars?
Well, the Edex Sport car and the Ferrari.
Was that outside to the right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing it, or every car.
No, they were on the far side of the curbs.
I would offer the honourable gentleman the potential. The 51 car again that takes the shortcuts.
I think it's raining more. These two cars, the 50 car and the Edex Sport LMP2 behind, both are not the little duck into the pit entrance that they do in qualifying, but way out past the curbs. I think it's suddenly got a bit more greasy. I wonder if somebody's losing something. Either way, there is 51, there is 50. Nick Nielsen is closing.
Well, Nick Nielsen has been told they will let him by. That's what he said. Because the one thing the Ferrari cannot afford to do
is slow Nick Nielsen down.
And waste fuel doing it.
Correct. Correct. Oh, this is going to be really silly exciting in 45 minutes. I mean, really, really silly exciting. Well, pointing out Bruce Joanny in the pit lane, beg your pardon, Bruce. 3:57.3 last lap for Laurens Vanthoor. Is the number 6 Porsche out of it? It's in the background of the shot. It is not out of it. That is 10 seconds, or was taken 10 seconds behind Nick Nielsen. Nielsen now down to 3 seconds behind Alessandro Pierguidi. It won't happen on the Mulsanne. It should happen on the run-up to Indianapolis.
The biggest gap in the top 8, by the way, is 23 seconds. The biggest gap is 23 seconds.
Nielsen there, hunting for wet weather, trying to cool those tired, wet tyres.
Yeah, we need 63 megajoule a lap, 63.0, 630.
They're running the numbers.
Okay, Yeah, 6.5, I will check.
Okay, so he's using too much energy. So actually what he needs to do is be sitting behind the 51 car for a couple of laps if it's going quickly enough to tow him along and save a bit of energy. But it's energy versus distance covered.
Yeah, but he can afford to lose 3-4 seconds a lap. So he just needs to be lift and coast, lift and coast. You know, that's all they can do, because on pace, they're not going to win the race now if they have to stop again. So all he can do, his only option, is to save fuel.
But do it at the maximum possible speed. Jiggly legs everywhere. Mine's going, theirs are going.
He doesn't need to do it at the maximum speed at all. He doesn't. That's the point. He's got
at the maximum
he's got a puffer.
possible speed. He can't just cruise around because they'll catch him, or they'll be closer and ahead.
What he's got is something like a 30-second edge to play with, if he can make it on energy. That's the key thing. If he can make it on energy by any means, and remember, he has to have energy in the tank, virtual tank, at the end of this race. It can't be 0.00. It can't. If he can make it on energy, you're absolutely right. He's got something like 30 seconds to play with. Wow. Because that is the time it's going to take the other contending cars on pit lane, less the lead he's got over them. Here comes the number 7 car. We're going to know right now.
Look at the spray. That's why cars were having a problem there. It's so wet. For a moment, I thought that was smoke.
You stay in the car, you stay in the car.
The connection here should be slightly shorter, remember. It's 42 minutes as opposed to 50 minutes for the required energy. They'll have been doing the sums as well, absolutely for sure. Tear-off comes for the number 7 car too, and here comes the 51. So Nick Nielsen will go through now into the lead of this race. Here comes Clement Novalak for his final stop, which will be 5 seconds longer with that penalty.
6 Penske Porsche should come in, 8 Toyota should come in, 2 Cadillac should come in. They're all right there or thereabouts because of the rain that forced everybody in for wets about 45 minutes ago. It brought everybody back onto the same schedule except the number 50 Ferrari, which had just stopped.
There's the number 7 Toyota going by the 51 on pit lane.
Yep, it came in ahead, should go out ahead, and that readout there, how many kilos of fuel is going in, is going to be absolutely critical as to who finishes on the podium.
Remember, it's the connection for energy that matters here. It's be very interesting to see whether or not that's got 100%, and it hasn't. 83% of energy for the number 50 car that leads the race.
All right, well, they've worked out that's all they need. What's going on with the Toyotas? 7 ahead of 8. So it came out of the pits, Jose Maria Lopez. Nobody's taken tyres, have they? They can't spare the time. They're just going to have to get on with it.
The fact that Toyota put in 96% and the Ferrari's got 83% left says to me
somebody's got it wrong.
Ferrari haven't got enough fuel, so they're going to need to do a lot of lifting coasting, because otherwise why would Toyota put in 96%?
Yeah.
You could have just put in 83%.
But why would they put 83% in? It's in the pit lane. Why don't you fill it up to what you need?
No, the question is, can 50 from that last pit stop it did make it all the way through to the end of the race? So, yeah. If 83%, when that graphic came up, which we should see a lot more of, by the way, because that's what this race is all about right now, who can go to the end, Toyota believe that their car needs 96% of energy to get it through to the end of the race, and Ferrari have only got 83%.
But we have heard on the radio here that they're aiming for a fuel a lap number, energy per lap, to go under that. So I think Ferrari think they can do it
on the back foot by saving fuel.
Yes.
Toyota will do it flat out with 96%.
Correct. They'll have calculated that 96% for flat out to the very last lap. Here from Lopez.
We take no risks, we bring it home. Sister cars stay behind.
Right, so Lopez is fuel to go. 8 needs fuel, but not now. 2 and 5 and 6 need fuel, but not now. In the next couple of laps, maybe 3, maybe 4, but they will all need to fuel. And Anthony's point is there's only 79% of the energy remaining for car 50, and yet Lopez has been fueled to go flat chat to the end. He's got 91%, so it's almost literally a full stint short maybe of 1 lap, so maybe a 10-lap stint. Now, if it gets wetter and it goes another lap, is Lopez still good for fuel?
Well, the other thing you should see is that gap there's at the moment between 78% and 91% is 13%. That gap should start to come down, and what that will show is Nick Nielsen is saving energy, whilst Jose Maria Lopez most certainly is not.
Well, even in that sentence, Nielsen stayed at 78, Lopez went from 91 down to 90%, so in a third of a lap, 1% of his energy total has gone. And Sebastian Buemi is right behind the number 7 car. So if the number 7 car is going to win this on outright busting pace, it probably needs to be a bit quicker than Buemi, doesn't it?
The problem is the traffic in the Porsche curves there.
Yeah, but it's been half a lap and Buemi's just stuck to him. And Buemi was whinging that he hadn't driven in the rain and didn't quite know how to make the car work. Here's our LMP2 leader, though. United Autosports co-owner was in with us a little earlier. Zach Brown and Ollie Jarvis will stay in. Nolan Siegel and BJ Garg are the other drivers of the car. And there are the 2 Toyotas. Again, look, number 7 is not gapping the number 8 at all.
Lopez is full of fuel, don't forget, whereas Buemi's not.
Yeah, that's a valid point. It would have helped if Buemi hadn't just gone by him, though, wouldn't it? That doesn't look like race-winning pace. What's going on with Lopez? 6 is in as well. Are Porsche and Penske Motorsport going to end up on the podium? And if so, where? Are we going to have an IMSA-style or a US racing-style fuel race where cars are running out in the last lap?
Pace wouldn't suggest that the 50 car's saving much fuel, because he's absolutely flying. He's one of the quickest cars on track, so on pace, it doesn't look like he's saving much fuel at all.
Well, 3:55.2 for him, 3:53.6 for Norman Nato, and 3:55.9 for Jenson Button in the 2 Hertz Team Jota Porsches. So, yeah, he's certainly not feathering it through to the end of the race. Where he might be winning is with a subtle bit of lift and coast.
9 or 10 laps to go for Nicholas Nielsen with 36 minutes to go, and the lap times at the moment in the 3:55s or so.
And still 13% energy deficit to the number 7 car, which if we assume it's getting to the end, well, hang on a minute, number 6 now has 97% on. So that would suggest that the number 7 car hasn't got enough fuel left either, or they've overfueled the number 6, but you can't turn up the turbo boost or any of that old school stuff. So have they just missed the calculations, or are we suddenly going to see a whole host of cars dawdling around trying to make the flag on fumes in the last few moments?
Well, looking at this, we know the last stint Nicholas Nielsen did was 13 laps. We know that, and he's into his 4th lap now. So if you're saying, Graham, that it's 9 more laps to the end of the race, then it stacks up.
If you put it down as 4 minutes per lap, 4 times 9 is 36, with 35.5 minutes to go.
And we know that in the dry, doing 3:32 average lap times, it took them 40 minutes per stint. They had enough fuel for 40 minutes in the dry at those much quicker lap times, and you're flat out more often. So with only 35 minutes remaining, it's in the rain.
Wow.
Of course you can get through to the end if you had 100% in now.
As things stand, Porsche Penske Motorsport will be on the podium for this motor race come what may, because Sebastian Buemi does have to pit that car and is well within the window for the Porsche to catch him.
Yeah, was he 16 seconds, 17 seconds maybe clear? So, yeah, Matt Campbell will overhaul Sebastian Buemi. Whoa! Steady on there. In 35 minutes from now, you can opposite lock it out of the final corner to take the checkered flag, but possibly just a tad premature. And again, Manthey EMA, don't throw away the win now, Richard Leeds. shows how tricky it is. Even though the rain has stopped pelting, track is still very wet indeed and very cold.
I'd like to see the energy graphic as Nicholas Nielsen crosses the line here, if we can, to see where we are on the percentages for him. Crossing the line to start lap 303, sorry. What's happened here with a 50?
Run out of road.
Oh, that was mighty close.
Oh.
But that was a 3:52 from Nicholas Nielsen. He's not saving energy.
No, he's trying to build enough of a gap that when he has to save energy, it's less of a pain, less of a worry. Look how empty the track looks, and yet we've still got 45 cars on track. He hasn't seen another car in ages.
Oh, trouble for the GR Racing car, not at this stage of the race. Not anybody.
They're in 6th position. This is Daniel Serra. Has he just spun in the S's? Looks like it. Car looks like it's got all its wheels still attached and air in the tyres.
Top, there's a problem. There's a problem with this car. He's stopped.
Was that in the Dunlop curve? It was. Yeah, turn 2, Dunlop curve. Oh, he hasn't just come out of the pit lane. He has just come out of the pit lane. Control Alt Delete, on and off, on and off, on and off. He'll be on the radio having a massive panicky talk with the team. How do I make it restart?
Don't care who it is or what they're in. Not now.
No, not now.
Not half an hour to go in the 124 hours. Too cruel.
Is he a Ferrari factory driver?
He most certainly is.
Yeah. Oh.
Rob Bell there, McLaren factory driver.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you know, if you're under orders by manufacturing, another class would benefit from it.
No, he's just come out of the pit lane. That's one of those it's not working things. Now he's shown a stop. They may have to do it under a slow zone, and that car is easily retrievable up to a place of safety, but it will require a vehicle. It'll need a slow zone. Right, lots of conflabbing going on.
What I point out to you is the gap. We said 13% would expect that gap to come down if the number 7 was fully on it and it was carpet slippers time with the 50. It's going out. It's 14. He's not saving fuel.
Yeah, but it's only 1% difference in 2 laps or 3 laps. So he's actually doing a pretty solid job. Let's hear from Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Okay, I'll say power is back. We focus again, and front brake temps are low. So mind front brakes.
I knew going slow.
We are P3, 13 seconds gap.
4:04 last time around.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
But when he couldn't get past Buemi and Buemi went past him, that was not outright race-winning pace being displayed. That was just weird. So they were trying to reset the car, and it wasn't just the lack of fuel in Buemi's car and the weight of fuel in his car. Back with our Manthey EMA race leader, Richard Leeds. This is the car that leads in LMGT3, catching, ironically, the car that started on pole in the class. The Inception Racing team were certainly fast, but their McLaren has not had the best of fortunes. Freddie Schandorf at the wheel. Looks like he is going to finish off the session and finish off the race. Car he shares with Brendan Iribe and Ollie Milroy. Well, they're not going to get the result they wanted, but boy, oh boy, they celebrated pole position, and that was pretty impressive. 30 minutes to go. I think Rob Bell wants to head down to McLaren and be there at the finish. So we'll say goodbye to him. We will drag Anthony Davidson in. And thanks very much to Rob for all his words of wisdom throughout the race and throughout the entire week. Delighted to have him on the team.
Quite the debut from Rob Bell. Delighted to have him with us.
Yeah, GR Racing still at the side of the Dunlop chicane, so he's progressed a little further, but not very much. Again, we may end up with a slow zone to rescue him. So David Addison and Peter Dumbreck have already hit the highway, trying to get home in this evening. And that leaves myself, Martin Haven, with Graham Goodwin and world champion Anthony Davidson for the final half hour of this race. And again, the knowledge of a driver and how to deal with all these situations is So important here. No real rain on the horizon, or is there? Is it going to get to us in time? We are preparing for a slow zone to try and recover that stranded car.
Matt Campbell on pit lane in the number 5 car.
And the GR Racing car, number 86, Daniel Serra. That's really, really tough there. Ferrari just crawling out of the pit lane and deciding to go no further. Number 5, final stop for Matt Campbell. Much quick, and again, it's trying to go again.
This is exactly what we saw with Sally Jolic last night. Exactly the same.
Okay.
Precisely the same. It would go and then stop, and then go and then stop.
Doesn't look like a classic car yet, but
you can just get down to where those orange barriers are at the top of your screen. That's the place where you can easily recover the car, and then you wouldn't need any, or well, you're not going to cross the track on the left-hand side. But yeah, that's the first point of escape for that car. Where it
he's got to go through the gravel to get there, hasn't he?
No, look, this to the left-hand side. You could kind of scoot around that bit of tarmac and some wheels on the gravel. It would have enough drive on that bit.
And just because there's not enough drama, it's going to be raining at Arnage in a moment or two.
Yeah, somebody's going to go off, aren't they? Here's 55, final stop for the Vista Ferrari. And that car is currently in 6th position in the class in the hands of Alessia Rivera, although Kelvin van der Linde has just gone by it in the number 78 Acodis Lexus.
Still trying with this car.
Crowd willing it on, almost as much probably as the driver is. Slow zone here. And there you see the marshals going, right, is it dead or is it not?
So just looking where the race leaders are, car 50 is in Arnage. So yeah, slow zone has been removed now, so it's not going to affect any of the front runners.
Well, that's interesting because the car's still there. Unless we didn't see it move.
It's visible.
Okay.
Yellow at MP4 now, so it's under yellow, not a slow zone.
They probably feel that the car is in a safe enough position at this point to just put yellows there instead of a slow zone.
Number 8 Toyota is not going to win this race. It's going to have to pit now, and that will drop it back down the order, probably somewhere to around car number 6, car number 5, the 2 Penske Porsches.
Now Lopez is on some of the oldest tyres out there at this stage. He put them on, first of all, they were a scrubbed set and did 12 laps on them. Continued on that same set to do another 9 laps on them. And now he's done 4 laps on them, or 5 laps when he crosses the line here, compared to Buemi, who's taken over the car from Brendan Hartley. Brendan did 13 laps on that first set, and then Buemi's taken them on for another 12 laps.
Right, Buemi is in now, and he probably will take fuel only. How many laps has the 50 done? Because they didn't change tyres either. Race leader took fuel at the last stop and is trying to eke it out. So in from 2nd place, number 8 Toyota, and that will elevate the number 7 car, which was 6 seconds behind, into 2nd position. It crosses the line now and moves up to 2nd spot.
Nielsen put on a brand new set. He did 6 time laps, continued on that same set for another 13 laps, and now he's still on that same set, 7 laps on the board. So yeah, he's on pretty used tyres as well.
20 laps, so that's the gamble, is track position. Oh dear, what is it with releasing the cars from the pit lane? Everybody's being very cavalier about it, aren't they?
Jose Maria Lopez, by the way, with that power problem solved, is on a tear. He's taken 10 seconds out of the leader in the last 2 laps.
But he needs to, because the gap's now out, not to 3.7, but 37 seconds. That's a massive amount to make up in 24 minutes on any man's racetrack.
This is at very least about putting that car under pressure.
Yes,
having to respond, having to use energy.
Well, we're looking at the same sort of gap that we had in the closing stages between 51 and 8 last year, and that's why Ria Hirakawa went off, because he was bludgeoning against the tail of the 51 car, trying to bring the gap down and down and down and down, and then eventually overstepped his car's abilities at Arnage, and the gap opened right back up again and took the pressure off the 51 car, and that's what allowed them to restart the car when it wouldn't restart in their final pit stop and go on to win. So it's the sister cars, but the same two brands doing the same thing this year. Toyota coming from behind with potentially more speed and somehow trying to force an error from the leading Ferrari.
I wonder when the last time was that we had 9 cars on the lead lap this close to the end of the Le Mans 24 hours. It's been a quite astonishing event.
You kind of get the feeling it would have been exactly the same if it had just been dry the entire race, the way it started.
I think we might even have had more cars on the lead lap if it remained dry, because the sort of random accidents that have taken out a couple of our front runners might not have been there. And everybody watching with interest. Thomas Laudermack on the right-hand side there, man with the grey hair, the spectacles and the goatee beard, head of Porsche's motorsport programme. Are they going to finish on the podium? It's a long way from 6 to 51. Number 8 Toyota, though, Sebastian Buemi has dropped behind the number 6 Penske Porsche Motorsport 963. It starts on pole, but look at the grim conditions here.
This is the battle for third we're looking at here. It's the 51 of Alessandro Pierguidi trying to fend off the closing Porsche on Lance Vantour. This pair 25 seconds back from the second place Toyota, but they're under 3 seconds apart.
Yeah, Laurent Vantour.
Oops.
A little bit wide there for Lopez. That's not going to help, is it?
Has
to catch the gap.
Has to get through the traffic, has to do it.
Oh, that was a lunge and a half, wasn't it?
And then some.
Did well to stay out of the gravel, but came out at a net loss, you have to say.
Yeah.
So the tyre situation with Laurent Vantour, is that him just exiting Arnage there? Yes, it is. He did 10 laps on a brand new set, and now he's on 4 laps on that same set. So his tyres basically are way fresher than both Ferraris.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what tyres Patrick Pilet's on. He's 4th at LMP2, 10 seconds back from Job van Uitert, and was 11 seconds quicker on that last lap.
Wow, that's going to be a sort out in the final reckoning, isn't it? Well, he's obviously on wets, but they must be relatively fresh then.
Nico Veroni, 13 seconds quicker than the third place car, and he's closing as well. Wow. LMP2 isn't done either.
Wow. Nico Veroni somehow just set a 4-minute 30. The leader's doing 4-minute 41. Second place coming over like 4 minutes 40. And as you said, Job van Uitert, 4 minutes 43. Well, there's a lot of red jackets in the crowd, lots of red hats, looking for a second consecutive Ferrari win. And look at the way they're sliding 4 square. It's very much wetter from Arnage all the way to the finish line.
3 more seconds taken out the lead by Jose Maria Lopez. It's 33.9 seconds with 21 minutes left.
And that was despite that that little off as well, that excursion in Mulsanne.
The problem is 20 minutes at 4 minutes a lap is 5 laps. He needs to be at least 6 seconds a lap quicker just to catch the leader. So 3 a lap is not enough. Danny Juncadeo being warned about track limits in the number 82 car. That probably will come to very little. TF Sport Corvette, their sole remaining car, or their sole remaining healthy car, after 81 had long stops in the middle of the night.
20 minutes remain. Nicholas Nielsen leads the Le Mans 24 hours. 306 laps will be completed at the end of this one. He's got a 32.4 second gap to the chasing Jose Maria Lopez in the number 7 Toyota.
Well, he's now got 12% more energy than Lopez, which was our benchmark. But what's going on with the number 6 Porsche? It's got 64% energy left. Well, somebody's wrong here, aren't they? Either Toyota haven't got enough on, or Toyota or Porsche are carrying too much fuel, or they found a way to burn even more, and I'm not quite sure how that works.
Vantour is with Alessandro Pierguidi for 3rd place. minute back from the leader.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time until he overtakes Pierre Guidi, because he's on much fresher tyres, around 10 laps fresher, and that makes an awful lot of difference on a circuit this long.
Plenty of traffic here to deal with as they come through the second chicane on the Mulsanne straight. Bit of a step wide from the Ferrari as he gets the power back in, but Vanthoor straight on it, cruises by the Corvette, and now trying to get onto the tail of the 51 Ferrari.
Should be 4 more laps after this. 20 minutes of racing to go after 23 hours and 40 minutes.
Pierre Guidi on the braking zone into Mulsanne. It's such a slippery corner here, and Vanthoor, see that, maximising the full width of the circuit, dipping some wheels over that white line right up to the gravel before turning in.
So close now, isn't it? He's just reeling him in hand over fist. Pulled out the slipstream there so he could just get a beady eye on where the Ferrari was in the ball of spray in front. Because although we can see, when you're behind, it's like following a truck on the motorway. You're absolutely blind in all that water.
Let's have a listen to Jose Maria Lopez, car 7.
Okay, Jose, we are currently P2, Ferrari 50 ahead. We don't think they're gonna box. We will be for position 2, and we don't want to take any risk. We want to bring P2 home. Gap ahead, 32. Gap ahead, 32.
That's realistic. That is realistic. Come on, he's not catching him. They had a technical problem. He's not catching him. Ferrari is under pressure from Porsche, but that's only 26 seconds back. So don't go off the road. Hello, also the number 5 car, Matt Campbell, don't go off the road there either. He was closing down Sebastian Buemi, but that has slowed that down.
That may be the most extraordinary thing I've heard from a factory team in all my time here.
Well, from Toyota especially, you know, accepting the inevitable. And they didn't last year, and they very nearly lost second place, because it was more luck than judgment, certainly.
Vanthoor's gone through the chicane there.
Yeah, more luck than judgment last year that Rio Hirakawa was able to keep the car going.
That power cut they had for a couple of laps for Jose Maria Lopez, how costly has that proved to be?
Absolutely.
Cost him probably 10 seconds.
Well, cost him potentially the race. Potentially. I mean, realistically, it was always going to be really tough, but...
and the spin.
Yeah. And don't forget, this is for third place, Alessandro Pierre Guidi. And look at the traction he seems to have over the Porsche. Every time they're in a slow corner, he seems to open up a little bit more. And Laurens Vanthoor is closing down the straight on the quick stuff, but the Ferrari seems to be hanging on. The gap is small, but it's not getting much smaller.
The gap is 30 seconds. Gap is 30 seconds, so we can lose 5 seconds a lap and still be safe.
Hey, mate, don't worry. I had traffic. Don't worry, it's okay.
Sounds fully in control, doesn't he? Does Nick Nielsen?
This kid. How can you be so calm? Don't worry, I had traffic. It is. Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. But from a driver without that colossal advantage of having been a world champion that Kimi Räikkönen had.
Let me tell you something about Nick Nielsen. Ferrari Challenge champion back in 2018. From there on in, for the next 4 years, he won at least 1 title a year with Ferrari, AF Corsa, or both, before joining this programme.
And he's the classic ladder of success. 1 in Michelin Le Mans Cup, 1 in European Le Mans Series, into the World Championship, into Hypercar. Bang, 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 bang. And he was always the young kid that was being dropped in with favoured gentleman drivers and giving them, you know, the boost in performance and helping coach them. He could have a big, long future with Ferrari, this boy. No question.
But just let me go like this, mate, because otherwise it's too difficult. Just let me go with the flow, okay?
No problem, go for it.
Yeah, just let me go.
He's in the zone and he doesn't want to be disturbed. So it is, like you said, you mentioned Kimi Räikkönen and that famous message, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. He's comfortable, he knows what he knows where the grip is, he's in the flow, doesn't want any disturbances. And he was comfortable enough earlier on, wasn't he, to put the wheel on the curb even through the Porsche curves there and have a little slide. And it's just how you have to be in these conditions. You have to let the car move around and feel comfortable with that. As soon as you start tensing up, it's a bit like, I use my kayak reference again. If you get into one of those kayaks too tense, you're going in the water. You need to let it move around and accept that that's what's going to happen. As soon as you're tight in there, and it's the same in a racing car, especially in the rain, you've got to relax, and that's how you'll get the best out of the car.
And you think about Senna at Monaco, comfortably in the lead in the McLaren, binged it in the barriers at Portier because he drifted off. Not literally, but that ultra-sharp edge had gone. And Nielsen's absolutely right. What every racing driver always says, you've got to drive the car fast. You've got to keep it in its window. And then if you have to on the last lap, you can put it into Potter home mode and chunter. But again, look at Pierre Guidi. Vanthoor just can't get to him. Pierre Guidi is driving out of his skin because he wants to be on that podium again.
I'm surprised that it's like the wetter the circuit's got, it hasn't really helped Vanthoor's quest to try and catch. He was catching, wasn't he, in the sort of damp conditions. Now the rain's really chucking it down. It seems to be suiting the Pierre Guidi's car a little bit more once again.
13.5 minutes. Niklas Nielsen out to Tertre Rouge onto the Mulsanne Straight.
But you can't forget the job that the other drivers have done in that car as well. Molina put in some epic stints, but for me, Fuoco in the dry, every time I looked at the lap times, the average stint times, his decisive nature and how he got through cars in the dry, he really put that car 50 in the lead. I think his stints after the middle of the night safety cars that went on forever, he really grabbed it by the horns, didn't he? And just absolutely surged forward, overtook the car 83, overtook the Toyota. He was on an absolute mission.
Ollie Jarvis straight on at the chicane in the LMP2 leader.
He's not got a lot to play with, just 17 seconds.
You saw in the United garage, lots of crossed fingers. There will be in every garage that's got a car running. I don't care whether you're first and last. Now it's about getting the darn thing to the flag. There's the Inception McLaren, just staying ahead of Manthey EMA's Richard Leeds, the orange and black Porsche that leads GT3, about to put a lap on the pole sitter. Quick conflab in the Toyota team. Well, they've already run the white flag up, but is there anything else they can do? You know, they've just said to Jose Maria Lopez, just bring it home safe. It's likely his only drive with the team this year in hypercar.
But he was so hard into that second chicane, he almost went off there. So I'm not quite sure the message went through.
Well, still 28 seconds back. You're right, he is lapping quicker. 2-3 seconds a lap quicker, but again, it needed to be 6 or 7. And that period, when we saw Brendan Hartley, Sebastian Buemi go by him, and he was clearly not at speed, that was the period. That lost time, that lost 10 minutes, might have made the difference between being able to win this race and not being able to win this race. And that was not driver error, that was just an issue with the car.
Yeah, lack of power, they said. So, or they said that you've got power back, you've got full power back. So I've never heard that message come through before.
No, I'm assuming it was hybrid related rather than ICE, because it didn't seem to be misfiring in any way, but you can never tell. With electronics, it could just have been misfueling it.
And maybe that's why they had to put in so much petrol, because they didn't have enough
petrol. Or enough,
enough electrical energy to...
So they've got some energy left. Well, he's on a kilojoules target. It's the new language, everybody. But nevertheless, Nick Nielsen is driving the car as if he's got no fuel cares in the world. Enough energy just about to make it through. Problem for the 33 DK Engineering car. And where is that in the order?
It says down in 7th in the LMP2 running, but would have been on. It's on the podium in LMP2 Pro-Am. They will have a podium. It's Lawrence Herr at the wheel of that car. I think is okay if you've got that car rolling again.
It's not having a DKR type race, is it? They're normally so good.
10 minutes to go now, and the gap 27 seconds. It's not going to be close. We've heard from Tota. They want to come home with second place. I don't think there can be any complaints about the performance balance in this race at all.
It hasn't really come down to BOP, let's be fair.
100% has not.
Well, there is no BOP. Cars are all equal. Nobody's had anything added or taken away from how they designed the car. So they are running their cars exactly as the designer wanted to. Well, that was close. Number 2 caddy with Alex Palou. Just tripping over, was that Stoffel van Doorn or Nico Müller? Either way, one of the 2 Peugeots. The 2 Peugeots are running 11th and 12th. And for me, actually, that's maybe one of the stories of the race. How disappointed the team must be with that car. Okay, it's reliable, it's had no dramas, it's had no pace at all compared to almost any of its rivals. The Lamborghinis have been at least as quick, the Alpines were comfortably quicker. It's barely ahead of the Isotta with far fewer resources. It's really not worked well for them.
You know it, but we need the 10 track limit now. We need the 10 track limit. Come on, Nick. Come on.
Guys, but we cannot proceed at this track limit because it's the end of the motorsport.
Okay, so please just not do it again. We have 4 seconds gap. We need this podium for everyone here. And for us, for the championship. It's double point here. Come on.
Well, and actually, that is the key thing. Don't forget, the number 50 and the number 51 have scored barely anything all year. They really desperately need a big point score. The problem for them is number 7 is between them, but if they don't finish on the podium and they drop behind number 6, which has also had race wins, then they're going to be in really big trouble. Number 6 is our points leader, but both Ferraris desperately, and Ferrari's a manufacturer, desperately need the points, and as the engineer said, and it's double points. So stop whining on about track limits killing motorsport and just get the car to the line and on the podium.
8 minutes. Ferrari on their way, are they? With 8 minutes to go to take a second consecutive win. If they do, if you add in the class wins, it will be the 40th win at Le Mans for Ferrari in their history. 11th overall win. It will be 3 brand new winners of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The 3rd Danish winner, I think the 4th Spanish winner. I think it might be the 11th Italian, but I'll double check that one.
Okay. I'm now trying to think of other Spaniards. Marc Genet, one with Peugeot. Fernando Alonso, thank you, yes, well done. Twice a winner, obviously, and we're now going back to the 60s, I'm not sure, 50s even, maybe. Alfonso Di Portago, did he win at Le Mans? Not sure. Anyway, they are within the really dangerous getting your hopes up territory. Anthony, 6.5 minutes to go. We know what this race can do. Nobody dares believe. Never mind when the fat lady sings, they wait till the fat lady takes her 3rd curtain call, and then you start to believe. When you're underneath the podium, when your car gets to you, I mean, look, Miguel Molina, he can barely breathe, never mind think about winning Le Mans.
Yeah, the expression says it all, doesn't it, really?
3 wins, 2 winners, so we've named them both. This Molina would be indeed the 3rd for Italy. 13 drivers, 20 wins between them, and for Denmark, it's 10 wins, 9 of which, of course, are for Mr. Le Mans himself and 2 previous winners.
And they would have deserved it as well last year. They were super quick. They were on pole, in the hyper pole, with the 2 incredible laps from Antonio Fuoco, and had the speed the whole way through the race, of course. It was the sister car that won the race that day. So it's kind of a bit of payback from their side of the garage, I guess.
For United Autosports, they will join a very exclusive list of teams that have won LMP2 here twice. Jota under their own name and under the Jackie Chan DC Racing banner, and Signatech Alpine.
Yeah, Signatech twice. And of course, it wasn't just United Autosports, it was the 22 car in their purple patch, where they won Le Mans, won the World Championship, won the European Le Mans Series as well.
Manthey look set to take wins in 2 different classes in GT racing. GT Pro winners, of course, as the Porsche factory team, and the Manthey EMA Squad 2.
And in the early days of Porsche's return with GT programs, with the UPS Junior cars and all of that, they've had so many class wins under various different banners, but run by Olaf Muntai's team.
And AF Corsa, by the way, stand at the point where they will claim, I think I'm right, class wins in 4 different classes at Le Mans. They've won, of course, in Hypercar last year and again this year. They've won in GTE Pro, GTE Am, I'm pretty certain they've won, and now in LMP2 Pro Am.
You can see the
2 Danish winners, of course. The second being John Nielsen, who won with Jaguar. Maurice Schuring, 19 years old, the youngest ever category winner at Le Mans, says Sam Smith. So I'm assuming he is younger than the driver of the 22 car, Nolan Siegel, who is also 19, from Palo Alto in California. So 12% energy remains in the number 50 Ferrari. This is going to come down to willpower and fumes and the incredible sang-froid of Niklas Nielsen. Let's hear from the team.
You confirm the next lap is the last lap, right?
Confirm, 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. Take it easy. Gap 23 seconds.
So, in the GT3 class, Richard Leeks will be in the winning car, the Manthey EMA car. He'll bring it across the line.
5th win?
It will be his 18th consecutive Le Mans 24-hour appearance, and he wins. I don't know how many wins he's had.
I think it's 5 that he would have got. Also means, by the way, across the classes, 4 rookies will be on the top step of their respective podiums.
Wow.
It also, as well, means that Nico Ferroni will win classes, 2 different classes in 2 years. Came home last year in GTAM as the winner and looks set to bring home the win in LMP2 Pro-Am with AF Corsa.
Yep. 2.5 minutes on the clock after 24 hours of racing. And I was talking at lunchtime with one of our French commentary colleagues, and he was saying, who do you think's going to win? I went, you're joking. One of any 9 cars, and there's no possible way you could pick a favourite out of it other than just sort of brand loyalty, because this race has thrown so much at us over the last 24 hours that weather, safety cars, slow zones, traffic, incidents, mechanical failure, anything could have made a difference. In the end, it was none of those. It was dealing with the cards as they came to the 50 Ferrari and pulling off a magnificent strategic coup, somehow eking out the fuel to get it through without a forced splash at the end, which looked like it was going to be likely 2 hours out.
Let's look back to some of the other storylines here before we greet these winners home. Fantastic running from the Assetto Fraschini. Yeah. It will reach the end of the Le Mans 24 Hours on its debut and the brand's debut. The same for Lamborghini Unlinked. Both their cars will come home, one of them in the top 10 overall. Peugeot will be disappointed, but both their cars are home. Reliable car, not yet a fast car. Cadillac Racing, I think, will be satisfied with their Le Mans this year. They've not got as good a result, but boy, oh boy, have they been competitive.
Yep. Yeah, with a little bit of luck and a following wind, number 2, number 3, 311 even could have been up there on the podium. Miguel Molina, bottom left-hand corner, still daren't even crack a smile. Nobody who's ever watched Le Mans will dare to believe, but they are around 4 miles away, and in another 2.5 minutes, they can start to breathe. Halfway down the Mulsanne straight, coming down into the second chicane. Anthony Davidson, in the old days, drivers always used to say, hearing noises in the car, hearing noises in the car. Your imagination starts to run away with you, doesn't it?
It's the first lap I've seen him take it mildly easier than all the other laps. And yeah, you do. Your senses are out there, they're heightened, and when you're in that position in the lead of a race, you always feel like you can hear things that weren't there the lap before. Actually, when it came past the line, that just on this lap, to open this lap up, I did think, does that engine sound the same as it did last time?
History-making, life-changing for those involved, in particular the three young men that have brought this home. Nick Nielsen has been just ironclad at the wheel of this car.
Well, I think the cold Danish or calm Danish exterior will collapse the moment he gets in the arms of his teammates, and getting out of the car takes you out of that bubble, and then the emotion is going to absolutely wash over him. Meanwhile, let's just say thank you again to all the men and women in orange who have worked so tirelessly in appalling weather to keep this race going, to our race director, to all the officials, and to all the teams and the rest of the organisation who have produced such a stunning race here. And for Niklas Nielsen, for Miguel Molina, and for Antonio Fuoco, off the old road circuit and into the Porsche curves for the very final time. The checkered flag awaits. 24 hours of Le Mans is up. It is 4:01 and 45 seconds, Central European summertime. Sunday, Le Mans 2024 is over. And Ferrari number 50 is going to come home and take victory a year after their teammates claimed victory in the hypercar. And now they dare believe it's the final chicane. Niklas Nielsen has been rock solid, absolutely ironclad confidence. Miguel Molina, Antonio Fuoco in floods. Ferrari wins Le Mans. Second place across the line, Jose Maria Lopez, Toyota Gazoo Racing. And he hangs on to second, but what about Alessandro Pierguidi, the 51 Ferrari and the number 6 Porsche, 1.1 seconds apart, and Pierguidi hangs on to it and does not exceed track limits. A crucial podium for Ferrari and for the 51 crew.
Fabulous scenes, raw emotion, disappointment for Toyota. They fought hard, they fought valiantly. That was one hell of a motor race.
Well, Nick de Vries on his first Le Mans podium. He will take second place.
We did it, mate! We did it! We won Le Mans! Again! Again! We won Le Mans again! Yeah! Cool down lap! Cool down lap. Wait 51 for the parade. Wait 51 for the parade. You're incredible, man.
Well, I'm glad it's not just us that have got dust in our eyes. Nick Nielsen does as well.
I don't know what to say. Thank you so much.
Life-changing. We said it earlier, it's life-changing.
I love you guys. Honestly, I fucking love you.
Yes, yes, yes. So second place for Toyota Gazoo Racing, second and fifth in the end. And again, double points here. That really, really makes a difference in the championship. But Ferrari's championship hunt starts now. 4 races remain in the championship, but double points and 2 podiums mean that suddenly the number 50 and 51 teams are alive. In the centre there with the silver hair, Antonello Coletta, who's the head of their engineering programme. It's he who's really the car talisman of this team. And for a second year in a row, remember the social media pictures of the victory parade in Maranello last year. Hello, Maranello. They're going to do it again this year. The crowd will be much larger this time round.
5 years on from the 2019 win, United Autosports are going to make it to the flag as winners in LMP2. But let's go down and find some winning drivers overall.
Antonio, congratulations! It's amazing. I saw tears. Can I have a few words, please?
I think there is no word at the moment. It's just amazing, and all the team did an amazing job today, and we really deserve it. So thanks to all the guys, and we will enjoy it now.
You do, go for it, thank you.
Antonio Fuoco. Here's our LMP2 leader, though, the number 22 from United Autosports. This time it's Ollie Jarvis who has the honour of bringing it across the line. Last time they won, I think it was Philip Albuquerque who did so. And in the 22 lineup, it is Bijay Garg and Nolan Siegel who share victory. And Nolan Siegel, just 19 years of age. There's the Manthey EMA Porsche, car number 91. Richard Leitz brings it to the line to claim another win for him and for Porsche. And that is a huge result for the 91 crew. Manthey EMA have been the second of the Manthey teams all season long, but for Yasser Shaheen, Maurice Schuring, another 19-year-old, and Richard Leitz, their first Le Mans win. What a thing.
Amazing, and the final class winner crosses the line. It's the 183 AF Corsa Oreca in LMP2 Pro-Am. 2 class wins for Amato Ferrari squad. But the one that matters without a shadow of a doubt is the overall win for the second consecutive year. They did it, Anthony Davidson, in some style.
I'm sure Ferrari would trade it all what's happened to them the last 2 World Endurance Championship races. Imola on home soil should have won, they didn't. We had terrible weather that day as well, didn't go their way, went to Spa, had the quickest car by quite some margin, led the race got red flagged. Should have won if it didn't restart. It did get restarted and they didn't win. So I'm sure they would have traded it all to celebrate this moment. What a race for them.
Let's go. Nolan, congratulations, an amazing feeling, I'm sure. What a year for you. Debut in the US and a win here at Le Mans.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. First time here, there was so much to learn, and I'm so lucky to have done it with such a great group of people. No one deserves it more. So I just, can't believe it.
Excellent. A little word from your teammate as well.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Best moment of my life.
Go and enjoy. Thanks.
Yes. I mean, thank you to all the mechanics, my engineer Jonathan, just the whole United Autosports team, and my family for all they've done for me. You know, we've had a bit of a challenging year so far in Europe, and just not a lot has gone our way. So to have this go our way, I mean, makes up for everything.
Head for the podium.
Yes, let's go.
Be shepherding them in that general direction, and what a podium to be looking down from. The fans will be released to flood into the track, and that will add to the emotion, as if any needs adding. I mean, look at Nick Nielsen. Visibility might have been pretty poor in the rain. I think it's even worse now because it's raining inside his helmet.
You called it as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
The unflappable Dane.
Oh, listen, and that's it, you know, he's clinging on for dear life to that cool collectedness, because he knows with every time he passes the line, they're getting closer and closer, and he's carrying it in his hands, and he knows that only he can lose it. That, in a young driver, is just astonishing self-control.
Yeah, just saw a quick shot there of Ben Barnicoat, winner with Francois Perrodo and Nico Veroni of that LMP2 Pro-Am win. Second, by the way, in LMP2, into Europol, winners last year. Second this time, and Edex Sport complete that podium.
Well, let's hear from our GT3 winners.
Yes, sir. Well done. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Emotional, over the moon. It's incredible. What a feeling to do this on your first time. You gave us everything. Rain, sun, night, all good.
Yeah, that's Le Mans for you. Now go enjoy.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Options there, Anthony Davidson. Either you never come back as a driver, or you accept that this isn't always the way that it happens, and sometimes the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune do come your way. They haven't been entirely blessed, any of the teams that won here, but they have made the best of what came their way, and that's the deal.
Absolutely nobody by a country mile had anywhere near a perfect race. It was impossible. The conditions, as we just heard there, were everything that you could throw at a racing driver over the course of 24 hours, it came their way. So for all of them, just congratulations from me, from all of us here, because I know as a racing driver myself just what they've gone through. They've gone through hell and back to get here, and they've kept it most of the time, pointing in the right direction. And for the ones that took victory, they just did it better than anybody else.
Well, even they had a couple of stop-and-go penalties. Even they had penalties added. Even they went off the road. The 51 car went off the road. The number 7 Toyota that finished second has been off the road and had penalties. The conditions have been pretty extreme. And as a result, it has just yielded an astonishing race. And for anybody who says, oh, BOP, I hate BOP, shut up. Yeah. That's what balancing performance of different cars gives you. It gives you astonishing close competition, not just in hypercar, not just in LMP2, but in all 3 categories.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Just this came down to who executed it the best.
Correct.
Exactly what that formula means.
That's exactly what the ACO's rule set is designed to produce. Cars that have the same potential, and then that makes it like Formula 2. You've all got the same engine, chassis and tyres. Who wins? The one who does the best job and deals with the situation and somehow manages not to drop the ball. And that's what we've seen in each of the classes. Nobody was perfect. Everybody had trials and tribulations.
Well, that's why there's almost a 40-second gap between the 2 Ferraris.
Yeah. No nose to tail.
This car, by the way, will leapfrog to the front of the championship of the WEC as well from a massive points deficit, 50 points, while the sister car doesn't score.
And wasn't it interesting, by the way, you know, we always claim that it's all about this race, everyone, you only want to win as a manufacturer, this is what it's all about. I was actually quite surprised by the team's outlook of the championship. And for me, it shows that as a championship,
it's growing.
It's getting more and more weight to say that you're a world champion. Yeah, winning Le Mans, of course, is still the cherry on top. Absolutely, make no doubt about it. But we had from 2 teams there talking about points for the championship.
Oh, and for
Le Mans, I mean, I've never heard that before.
And for 51, it's critical. I mean, they basically scored 0, almost literally 0 points all year long. So that podium, the difference between 3rd and 4th, super important. And now, now it is about Le Mans. You know,
this moment, guys, when you meet your teammates after victory, it's for drivers. It's such a. It's often a solemn experience because you do it alone, but in sports cars you've got 2 other drivers with you to share this moment, and you've lived it all together, and you often don't see all 3 drivers all together for the whole 24 hours until the end of the race, because you're so dedicated with your stints and keeping, you know, strict time slots to when you eat and sleep, and then driving, of course. So to when you see everyone there at this moment, you share it together, riding along in that victorious machinery that you've all driven and all played your part in. It's a feeling you can't describe.
And the last time bar 1 you'll ever ride in it, because it'll be the parade in Maranello and then into the museum for this chassis.
The best looking car, the fastest car, and the best team in the world. 2 years in a row. Mamma mia. Ragazzi, siete veramente migliori, grazie mille, grazie a tutti.
A few words there in his native language. A little bit of Italian for the team, of course, a little bit of Italian for the team, not Danish. So, I mean, a phenomenal thing. And for all that it is worth double championships, points and everything else, it is Le Mans. It is 101 years of history. It has phenomenal weight of recognition. And at the moment, perhaps as much as any other time in its history, it has global significance, global recognition. I mean, Miguel Molina, the first Spanish winner of this race was Marc Gené. That was 2009. It's that recent.
Yes, absolutely.
And yet, you know, Fernando Alonso has come here from Formula 1, won it twice on the bounce, gone back to F1, but spread the word. But it's it's now at an even greater level of recognition than even when Audi were winning everything and spreading the word across the globe. You saw Tom Christensen offering his congratulations. He's waiting for the next greatest driver. And of course, Nick Nielsen, a fellow Dane.
Absolutely.
Only the third to win, John Nielsen, and then Nick Nielsen, and in between, Tom Christensen more than once or twice.
Fabulous scenes.
I just keep thinking what these drivers went through today and yesterday. No tyre warmers, in the rain, exiting the pit, everything they lived and breathed for 24 hours. The stress levels were through the roof for them all. And now they can finally relax and enjoy this moment.
Yeah,
it's the hardest Le Mans I've ever seen.
Until about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, where they'll have to get up, get washed and scrubbed, and appear live on Italian breakfast TV from Le Mans with the trophy in the car and everything else. You know, there's the 88 car, third place for Proton competition.
Didn't mention that. Mustang on the podium. What an astonishing turnaround it is for them. Absolutely fantastic stuff from the 88 squad of Proton competition. And in fact, the second Mustang, fourth.
Yep.
Which race, how far do we have?
And
it was pretty recent when we saw them, the car shaking itself to bits and parts falling off all over the place. Where was that, Imola?
They made the change after Imola.
Yeah.
Yes, after Imola, correct.
Qatar bits were flying off, Imola bits, fewer bits flew off because generally it was a slower speed race, but yeah.
They did a good job though, didn't they?
And the 777 got to the flag. It won't be classified as a finish, I think, because of so much time lost. But again, that team, that car, this race was not going to beat them. They were going to get it to the finish, and damn it, they did. Well, look at this. Over 300,000 fans visiting Le Mans again this weekend. Even in the Jaguar, Porsche, Lancia, all of that in Group C, it was never this big. It was never this many people, and there was never so much for fans to do either. It wasn't just Beer Mountain now. There's an awful lot more going on.
Quite the moment for United Autosports. They look for success. They're looking to continue to climb the ladder. They had real form with their still relatively new McLarens, but it was the old warhorse, the Oreca, that has brought them another win at Le Mans. 2 wins at Le Mans, 4 cars here, 51 crew, congratulating their teammates. That'll be a tough moment, but
they won Le Mans. They know what it feels like. Antonio Giovinazzi there and James Carter offering their congratulations. There's BJ Garg.
Ollie Jarvis.
And Nolan, the taller and the younger of the two, Nolan Siegel. And actually, he's almost as tall as Ollie Jarvis, and that takes some doing.
Ollie Jarvis just showing them how to celebrate.
Number 2 from United Autosports, the LMP2 winner. And as he said, of course, Francois Perraudot and the crew winning in Pro-Am.
Yep, Ben Barnicoat's a Le Mans winner.
First time for him.
Nico Veroni, a double winner, as now is Francois Perraudot.
Yep, both of their previous win, the two of them was together in GTE Am.
But Mick Gentleat, what a legend.
Yeah.
He is a Porsche legend, been around for so long now.
Ollie Jarvis was the mentor and the inspiration. You got 2 Le Mans rookies. Boys, honestly, it's not like this every year. I mean, it is like this every year, but it's not like this every year. It's like this, only different. And every time you come back, and I've been once or twice, you do think, what on earth more can this race throw up? I don't know who their script writers are, but boy, they earn their money.
Yasser Shaheen there with the beard, Nolan Siegel with his back to us.
Again, another pair of rookies.
Fantastic storylines here.
Yeah.
Another great story was the recovery from Jota, car number 12.
Oh, good grief, yes.
P8 for car 12.
Made the top 10.
That's where they qualified in Hyperpole.
Yeah.
Or, for Hyperpole. They didn't take part in they didn't take part in Hyperpole. They didn't make it because they had crashed the car. Total rebuild from scratch, brand new chassis in 48 hours, which would usually take the team 2.5 to 3 weeks to do back at the factory.
And they finished where they qualified, and they finished where they qualified.
The car made it, and it's what a testament to that team.
Well, we heard earlier on this broadcast from Tom Wagner as the 91 crew celebrates. big plans ahead for the Jota brand and for what comes next.
Richie Leitz looks a little bit out on his feet, doesn't he? He does look like he's a bit dead. But there he is. Well, here's our Ferrari crew. I don't know who's doing the crowd surfing there.
That's Nick Nielsen.
Is that Nick Nielsen? Yes, it is. Of course it is. There you are. I told there'd be some emotion there somewhere. James Clardy, Antonio Giovinazzi. Haven't seen Ale yet, but he will, I'm sure, be there in a moment or two. Alessandro Pierguidi, last year's race winners in the 51 car. And these cars all basically need to go in museums now. This is what Le Mans winners should look like. They shouldn't be highly polished and clean.
Well, the thing with the Pro-Am cars is they won't. They'll carry on. They will carry on. We will see those cars in Brazil for the next race in the F5 World Endurance Championship in just a few weeks.
Well, the great thing you can do is you can take off all the exterior body panels and put them on another shell as a show car, and you've still got half the Le Mans winning car. You've got the look of it anyway.
We'll see that Orica with United Autosports in the European Le Mans Series. The 50 car, that might be a different kettle of fish.
Now let's take a look at whose car was the quickest before all the arguing starts. Fastest car of all in the entire 24 hours in all conditions in Sector 1, car number 7 from Toyota Gazoo Racing. Fastest car of all in Sector 2 throughout the entire race in all conditions, car number 8 from Toyota Gazoo Racing. Fastest car of all in Sector 3 in all conditions throughout the race, the number 51 car from AF Corsa Ferrari. So the Toyotas were quicker than anything else for at least 2/3 of the lap.
And if you look at the differences between those fastest laps, they are tiny.
Yeah.
Before we get into a new look podium, a new podium will welcome these new winners for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Antonello Coletta there looking at these scenes.
Quiet moment for him, isn't it? A quiet moment of reflection. They've done it again.
It's just one more mention that if you thought what we were showing you was dramatic, in about 10 days' time, look at what was happening behind the scenes. You will not believe the emotion. You will not believe the drama. That is what it's all about. Grand Marshal, there, he's been here before.
Kaz Nakajima.
On the good days and the bad day. Kaz Nakajima in the green room for the podium. Keep a lookout for WEC and the Le Mans 24 Hours full access program on the WEC YouTube page. Trust me, that is going to be unmissable.
You want to see what it meant to Roger Penske when his car took pole position? You want to see what it meant to Jota and everybody in the pit lane when that car fired up? That'll all be in the full access program. There is so much more still to come from the race that we will never discover. People often say, what do you find to talk about for 24 hours? You're kidding me. How many cars finished? 46 24-hour stories, and that's before we even look at the ones that didn't make it all the way through. We never cover most of the action. We barely know half the stories. But, wow, everyone has got a history here that comes to Le Mans. Fans, officials, marshals, teams, drivers. It always produces the goods.
I'm pretty certain, by the way, that we did not see the 20 car re-emerge. They did say they would try to do that. They did not. The ARC car did not cross the line.
No. It did not qualify as a finisher. That's however, it does seem that the 77 Proton has. And all they wanted was that it would get to the line, same as Isotta Fraschini, and Isotta have hit their target. Their first Le Mans, they got it to the line. And the amount of data that they will have garnered from that hopefully will drive them on and help them increase the performance of that car.
Here they come, fans who've been here through mainly rain and a little bit of shine, get the reward that many are looking for to join this podium celebration. Pretty unique in four-wheel motorsport, at least, Ant.
You said it was going to be a new podium procedure, or
there's a brand new podium.
Here's Antonella Coletta looking down from the pre-podium room.
The technical head and the business head of this outfit.
And there's the crew. There's the Iron Dames.
Fourth today.
Sarah Bovey, Michelle
apologies.
Gatting. Yeah. could have been in there. They got clattered off by a faster car.
We'll have the very minor plus here. They get points for fourth because there is a non-full season car ahead of them. So they will get more points to their fifth place.
Even Bibendum had a bit of a slip on his way to the front of the...
Lest we forget, history matched. Michelin matched Dunlop's total of 32 wins today.
Yeah, whoa, who was that who came in from stage right? That's a glorious late arrival into the photo, and we're all piling in now.
So 32 wins for Michelin.
Two guys on the left-hand side there, their PR team, and one of the friendliest, most forthcoming, most outgoing PR teams I've ever met in my career. Yeah, they are so outward-facing and positive.
I didn't know what to expect when we got this program. You hear all sorts of things about
well, you
these big
thought
brands.
it was going to be a Formula One feel, and in professionalism it may well be, but in terms of outward facing and the answers, yes, what can we do for you, then they absolutely set a new bar for manufacturer PRs. They are really, and Ferrari are making so much of this, so much of their World Endurance Championship involvement, and especially so much of Le Mans. They could not be doing more to help promote this championship if they tried. They're not. They're just spreading the word. Look at what we're doing. And that word is carrying to all four corners. They've been a fantastic addition to the championship in terms of raising the bar, in terms of competition, but especially in terms of exposure for us and for everybody else around the world. And Ferrari claim their second consecutive Le Mans win. Is this the beginning of a dynasty like we saw from them in the late 50s and early 1960s? Toyota number 7 takes second. It's a Ferrari 1-3. With the best of the Porsches in fourth, ahead of the number 8 Toyota and the number 5 Penske car. Hertz Team Jota 8th and 9th, ahead of the Lamborghinis. And then United Autosports, Inter Europol and EDEC Sport 1, 2, 3 in LMP2. Manthey, EMA, Team WRT and Proton Competition are the top 3 in LMGT3. And finally, 46 cars classified as finishers from 62 starters.
Here is the new podium gantry and the massive LED screen behind it. There is our winning car. Last year, gentlemen, Ferrari won Le Mans, covering a total of 2,896 miles in 24 hours. New York to Los Angeles is about 2,789. So I think this year, with the overnight safety cars, probably, well, why don't we say New York to Kota? And we'll talk about that before we close the show as well. An astonishing event, an astonishing race. We didn't know, nobody knew just how that was going to sort itself out until probably about 20 minutes before the end of this race.
I hate to say it, but I did predict that car 50 was going to win before the start of the race. Just saying.
I think I put it in my...
Well, Rob Bell had his money on Cadillac number 2. But they had a great race.
And what a great show they put on. What a great show they put on. They can be proud of that. That's an image that we're going back home to Australia. Yasser Shaheen, his family, owners of the Ben Motorsport Park, just outside Adelaide. Carrying forward the Aussie brand. But no doubt at all about what the big news is here today. Ferrari win Le Mans for a second consecutive year with a second different driver squad. And these two gentlemen should be rightly delighted with that.
And the 83 car, which in the end didn't make it to the finish, that deserves a really big mention, because the yellow Ferrari, till it had that total electrical blackout, that looked the car perhaps most likely of all to keep bouncing back. Their bounce back ability was absolutely astonishing. Those three drivers could have, should have won Le Mans with a bit more luck on their side.
Before we get to the podium ceremonies, Kazuya Nakajima there getting involved in a sporting hug.
Yeah.
Mention for two names in particular. One, Jose Maria Lopez, coming in with no notice. What a performance from him. Was it perfect? He will concentrate, I'm sure, on the errors, but he shouldn't. It was magnificent. And Mike Conway, we wish you were here. You'll be sitting there, I'm sure, Mike, wishing you were and wishing you could have made a difference. Please don't. An epic 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2024. You'll be back in 25.
Yeah, we said it already that nobody had the perfect race today.
Nobody.
So, you know, there's only so much you can beat yourself up for from the moments that didn't quite go right. But yeah, this was a race that just, it was beyond difficult. And I wouldn't have expected from anyone to put together a perfect race. It's too many things out of your control as well.
Yep, about to see.
There's Nick Nielsen, look at that. Miguel Molina, Antonio Fuoco with his back to us. Yeah.
A view like nothing else in motorsport, about to greet these three young men.
My first time in that podium room, I was a pit reporter for Eurosport a long time ago. And Alain Moniz, L'Oreal, had won Le Mans in the Porsche 911 GT1 98. And their teammates had finished second. So you had the winning trio full of smiles and jubilation, and Jürgen Pippig was there with them and everything. And in the corner, Bob Wallett was sobbing his heart out because he knew that was probably the closest he would ever come to his lifetime dream, finishing second. And that moment, I just was astonished that finishing second at Le Mans had become such a crushing blow for him, because he came so close and again didn't quite make it. And that's the agony and ecstasy. And actually, the guys in the 51 car who won last year, at least they had that win already, and that helps to soften the blow a little.
Everybody on this podium knows the feeling of being on the top step. Every single one of them on this podium, and that's a great thing too. It shows the depth of talent that we have now at the top end of sports car racing. But here are the three new superstars of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, three new winners.
Well, in third place, a smile from Alessandro Pierguidi. Last year's winners are first out. LA, James Collado and Antonio Giovinazzi. There's Tonio in the centre. James Collado comes out third with their crew chief. And another podium. First and third in 2 years in the top class. They've won World Championships. They won Le Mans in GTE Pro. And now they are on the top step. Jose Maria Lopez, well, was expecting to be here in GT3 in Alexis. Turned out that he rejoined his old teammate Kaz Nakajima and replaced the injured Mike Conway.
Kamui Kobayashi.
Kamui Kobayashi, beg your pardon. Yes, his boss. And joined Nick de Vries. So Nick de Vries on the podium for the first time at Le Mans.
My mistake. He's the one guy that doesn't yet know. He will know what it's like to win at Le Mans.
Yeah. And there are the winners. Antonio Fuoco follows out Miguel Molina, and the first man out, the last man across the line in the car, he held the anchor leg together. He was calm beyond measure for one so young. Niklas Nielsen, just remarkable. I got it. Guys, don't stress.
I think the right Ferrari driver was in the car at the right conditions, during the right conditions. Nick Nielsen at the end there. Cracking drives.
Italian anthem for Ferrari, our winners at Le Mans, the national anthem of motor racing. It's heard so often around the world. Going for the second verse.
Too right.
I think they're basically accompanying the mechanics who have decided, and the rest of the team have decided they're going to sing through.
Good, proper. If that was the French national anthem, they definitely would have played it in its entirety. So I'm really pleased they carried it, forced into playing on. Brilliant stuff.
That was great.
Really good to see the big smiles from the other podium finishers. Everybody knew they'd been in a fight, and again, the fates decided who won. That's so often the case here at Le Mans.
Yeah, Fillon, he'd have been proud of that race, correctly so. Great stuff again by his team.
Proud of the race, pleased with the gate. Oh no, honestly, every day was a sellout. Well, every day was a sellout.
And that's important for the future of this race. That's important because there are plans to reinvest in this great venue with better, more and better spectator facilities, more and better facilities for the teams, and potentially in the future a bigger grid as a result. So if you've been here this weekend or you're contributing in any other way, you are helping to build this race for the future.
And the deal with Le Mans right now, as with Hypercar, if you build it, they will come. Tickets for next year's Le Mans 2025 are going to be very hard to get hold of. If you're watching now and you think, oh, I might quite like to go there, get online and get tickets as soon as you can. There is Kazuki Nakajima. It's been a long day.
A very long day.
Been a very
2 days,
long day.
Martin.
Yeah, I can't remember my own name. There's the trophy that they will take.
Go on, lift up the big one, Kaz.
And no, he's leaving that to someone else. The perpetual trophy.
Back to the traditional trophy this year, of course. In fact, the centenary trophy I saw at Maranello not that long ago. It's in pride of place at Fiorano.
Did they let you kiss it?
They barely let you touch it. But what a day, what a night, what a second day, what a finish, what a race, what an event.
Yeah. And again, so many different brands played a starring role, and that's the key. It's not just Ford versus Ferrari, it's not just Toyota versus Ferrari, it's Toyota versus Ferrari versus Cadillac versus Porsche versus Lamborghini, and so on and so on. And in GT, it's the same. We talked about this a few years ago when we knew the list of teams that might be coming to Hypercar. Going, well, Lord, this is going to be the greatest endurance racing era ever. Never mind the arrival of GT3. GT3 on its own would have guaranteed more manufacturers across the grid than probably at any other time in Le Mans history. But with GT3 and Hypercar, oh boy, and it's going to put the squeeze on LMP2 to have grid places for next year because so many more people want to come.
There it is.
There it is. Ferrari win Le Mans for the second time in the Hypercar era. Does it make them undefeatable? No, because they're going to have to start again from scratch in Sao Paulo. Does it make them happy? Yes, it does.
In World Championship terms as well, 4 different cars in 4 races now have won in 2024. What an extraordinary year we've got ahead of us.
And for Toyota, usually you get to the end of a race and you think there was one key moment where if that didn't happen, we would have won. And I think the drivers, this one would take a long time to digest because there were so many moments for so many drivers and teams where you could have, there's a coulda, woulda, shoulda story there.
Pretty much all of them.
All of them.
Pretty much all of them.
That's going to take a lot of deep analysis.
It wasn't that long ago today when we were talking about both of these Ferraris carrying, well, effective de facto penalties that could have counted them out of this race. Yep. And here they are both on the podium.
2 points for the number 7 car.
Open door on the
penalties.
Open door on the winning car.
I mean,
a spin for Lopez in Dunlop turn 2.
In years gone by, it will be if we hadn't had that puncture, we would have won. Now it's if we hadn't had that puncture, those 2 penalties, the thing behind the safety car, the this, the that, and I mean, every car has got a catalogue of woes.
And 6 hours of rain.
Yeah.
look at the sea of humanity behind them. This has become one of the traditions now, the selfie.
Bit different from Fanjo's day.
Yeah, the phones were much more difficult to hold over your head in those days.
They'd have had a black and white photographer with a watch the birdie flash.
Could you 325,000 people just stand really still for
10 minutes while we develop our daguerreotype?
This group, massive enthusiasm, all of them. I have the privilege to work in paddocks where these guys come out week in, week out, and again, they could be the kind of guys that just take a different view of their position here. They don't, they recognise enthusiasm. I'll tell you right now, they're amongst the best, that when someone walks into their garage with a kid, with a teenager that's keen, they're the ones that step forward and show them what's special. It's fantastic.
We've had a lot of big manufacturer teams who insist on shutting the entire world out. Ferrari are exactly the opposite. True, they don't have Charles Leclerc or a Formula One superstar to protect. They don't have Valentino Rossi to try and shield from the 1,000,001 people that want to see him. But they could not be more open.
They have got 6 Le Mans winners now.
Yeah. Ooh, boy. And that parade in Maranello, I look forward to seeing the pictures of that, because that it was an impressive enough thing to see last year. But there will have been a lot of people who didn't take the day off work who damn well are going to this time because they don't want to miss it for a second time. It's going to be absolutely vast. And they're building a whole new legacy for the brand. 99 points. Our leaders are still the number 6 Porsche, Andre Lotto, Kevin Estre, Lawrence Van Tor. But Antonio Fuoco, Miguel Molina and Nick Nielsen with that 50-point haul now 9 points behind. And that's the magnificent difference. And now up to 6 from literally nowhere. Pierre Guidi, Giovinazzi and Collado, 48 points. They had 3 points. Before, or 8 points before this weekend started.
Look at the gap that has been closed by both Toyota and by Ferrari on Porsche in the Manufacturers' Championship, the one they want to win.
And that's why Jose Maria Lopez got that message from his team. It was all about that.
Yep. Don't bin it. We want the points. Hertz Team Joe to lead the World Cup from Proton and AF Corsa.
AF Corsa taking a bit of a hit there with that DNF, I'm afraid.
Well, which is a shame, because had they won it, boom, straight to the top of the pile. Absolutely, nailed on. And they were, there, but for a following wind and a bit more luck, there they were. Flags of all nations down there.
I love doing what I do, and I love doing this with you guys. There are days when I'd like to be down there with the fans. On this day, I'm pleased I was here to get the view that we saw of how this all unfolded.
Yeah, you see so much and hear so much trackside, but just to be able to watch the entire race as it comes and goes, it's just an absolute joy and a privilege.
And to stay dry.
Ish. I have to say, 40-plus years on, I was going to say this race has lost none of its appeal. This race has never had more appeal.
This is the LMGT3 podium. Darren Leung, British GT champion last year.
Yeah, and Le Mans podium finisher.
Sean Galale and
Augusto Farfus.
Well.
Tip of the cap from Gusto. And the Ford Mustang on the podium in 3rd place for Proton competition. But for Olof Mantai's team, the small team that has carried Porsche's hopes in GT for so many years, Manthey EMA claim victory at Le Mans. Richie Leitz, well, he's been to Le Mans before, but the other 2 drivers are raw rookies.
Boris Schuring, yes, and Yasser Shaheen. Nicky Rader now in charge with the retirement of Olof Mantei, by the way. They should be pleased about that. And the 3 Proton competition drivers, Dennis Olsen, Mikkel Pedersen and Giorgio Roda.
I'm sure that the ever-flamboyantly mustachioed Olaf Mantai is watching from one of the rooms there in the building. Incidentally, alongside the third-placed finishers, the man in the blue jacket, he's got his name on it. There he is. His name is Ford.
Bill Ford. So that shows the value that they are placing on these Pro-Am programs in this championship.
And that is genuine motoring royalty. That's not just a guy who shares a name. His dad, his granddad, his great-granddad, that's the firm.
Anthony, you were just saying, second appearance on the second step of the podium at Le Mans in 2 different classes for the young man at the end here, Sean Gillale.
Yeah, you saw him bounce his way onto the podium, and it reminded me of the time when he was at Jota at LMP2, where he finished a very close second place, almost got that win that day, but yeah, on that second step again in a different category, and yeah, he's enjoying driving with this car crew, you can clearly see.
Yeah, they had a win in Imola, and in the pouring rain, well, that was a little bit of a warm-up for this, wasn't it? There was less rain in Imola than we had in any one of our safety car periods. But there are your race winners. 19-year-old Maurice Schuring in the centre, Yasser Shaheen, and on the right-hand side, the veteran Richie Leitz. Mantai EMA claim victory at Le Mans. Whatever else they do in the rest of the season, and they are unlikely to be uncompetitive, this day will definitely live in their memories. When Yasser Shaheen is telling tall tales, yarning with his grandkids, this will be one. Grandad, tell us again about Le Mans. He'll never tire of it.
And these gentlemen, the first ever winners at Le Mans in LMGT3.
Darren Leung needs a couple of lessons from the Tom Coronel champagne spraying class. You think Bill Ford would have been quick enough to get out of the way, but oh, there you go.
They were faceful there.
Anybody who's unarmed is, I'm afraid, absolutely fair game. Well, again, if you'd been asked to pick a podium, you would have put Mantai on there, but you would have gone with Mantai Pure Racing, the car that's been the form car. 31 BMW maybe, but maybe the 46. But the Mustang? That's in nobody's shortlist.
Third and fourth, and by the way, fourth place. We'd already talked about Satoshi Yoshino stepping away from Le Mans after this year. I'm pretty certain I'm right that the young man, 67-year-old, I think the oldest man in the race, John Hartshorn, finishes fourth, and I think it's John's final Le Mans as well after 4. And John, if that's the case, thanks for all the fun. Great stuff with him, with Ben Tuck, and with Chris Meese, another rookie. In fact, 2 rookies with Ben Tuck.
John Hartshorn is the experienced driver in that. I know. But I'm sure. But you know, like all these guys, especially John, because it's only across the channel, might be his last time behind the wheel. Sure, it won't be his last Le Mans.
Sure, he'll be back.
Sure, it won't be his last Le Mans.
4 appearances here in 4 different cars, 3 different British makes of car here at Le Mans: TVR, Lotus, and Aston Martin. And now, of course, the Ford Mustang. And I'm sure he's loved every single minute.
So he didn't get to drive
winning
the
was my
Morgan
colleagues was Mantai, was Porsche, Yasser and Maurice.
Richie Leitz giving his thoughts via Bruno Van der Steeg, the speaker and announcer here at the track. He is the voice of the Le Mans PA. Black and white flag in the background there, the Brittany flag, the Breton flag. And that will be adorning car number 183, our Pro-Am winners. But there is the third place car. And again, what a turnaround. And again, it just shows when you give a team like Proton the chance to work on a car, what a difference it can make. Ditto with WRT. This BMW and the 46 car have been contenders everywhere this season.
They've had a tough old day and night, WRT, but they come away with yet another podium finish.
Well, they had a really tough time at Spa as well with their cars, but they go to their home track again in 2 weeks for the Spa 24 hours. Let's hope the third time fortune favours them a bit better. But here are the winners. Manthey EMA, and again, that is going to put them right in championship contention. 4 more races after this. About 6 weeks from now, we'll be in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Then we go to Kota for the 1st of September. Manthey EMA and Manthey Pure Racing tied 2 ahead of 31 WRT. Wow, that's as close as you like.
Fabulous stuff.
Maurice Schuring, Richard Leeds, Yasser Shaheen, and then Alexander Malikin, Joel Sturm and Klaus Bachler. And behind them, Augusto Farfus, Darren Leung and Sean Gillel. Little bit of clear space to Owen Batar and Marco Sorensen, with Michel Gatting, Sarah Bovey behind them, and then Leslie Rivera, Francois Herriot and the rest. And if you're wondering why those are 2 car lineups, or 2 driver pairings that are featured in the top of the points table in places, it's because not each of the cars has had the same drivers in for all races.
LMP2, it's EDEC Sport that take the 3rd step on the podium. So Paul Lafargue, Richard de Juris and Jean Van Utet.
Yeah, job with his hand in the air. 2nd place for last year's winning team. There's Kuba Gamaziak. Last year he won, this year 2nd. Can't argue with that for Le Mans appearance record.
Kuba Shpikovsky.
Yeah, the other Kuba. Kuba Shpikovsky, absolutely right.
Clever Novalak.
Yeah, almost entirely different lineup. The only common feature in the 34 car is Kuba. Clement Novalak and Vladislav Lomko, and our winners, 2 rookies and a veteran.
I think that's Jim Maguire coming out with the team, new co-owner of United Autosports.
Ollie Jarvis, BJ Garg and Nolan Siegel. Wow.
Is that Richard Dean?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think so. Looking neater and tidier and more executive than I've seen him in a long while.
It's a tough old game, LMP2. It's the team and the drivers that make the difference in United Autosport for the 2nd time in this current era of LMP2. I've done it now twice. Trophies being awarded.
Gilles Lepard, the Vice President of the Automobile Club de l'Ouest. Don't know why I can't say ACO easily. Said it often enough over 40 plus years. While we're here, actually, we did mention lost friends during the middle of the night, but just a quick word for a long-term colleague of ours who we lost very recently, late great Neville Hay, and we lost esteemed team owner Hugh Chamberlain as well during the year. Two of the real cornerstones of my early years at Le Mans, and very much friends of teams, rivals and competitors, as well as beloved by the fans. So it's my thought for them, and got a beer in the fridge for them this evening. Well, there are the Inter-Europol team finishing in 2nd place. United Autosports with car number 22, an entirely different lineup this time, but the same number from the same team. And the Mayor of Le Mans presents the trophies.
Special moments for all of these drivers, but particularly the new young talents on this podium.
What, Richard Dean?
Yes.
Richard Dean, former racing driver.
Yes.
And long-term team owner of United Autosports, with the man who was in the garage, or in the commentary booth with us a little earlier, Zach Brown.
Indeed, their place extraordinary. Their standards are extraordinary.
Yep.
And they have another big win onto a long, long list. LMP2, LMP3, GT3, LMGT3, GT4, Extreme E, touring cars, you name it, they've done the lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got plenty of engineering nous ability and get it done ability. Gary Robertshaw, the head of their brains trust on the pit wall, always so quietly spoken, but will always come up with an answer for you if you want to know anything technical. Just such a calm influence there at the head of their engineering program. But United have got such a rich reputation and well deserved. Thanks also to those who we're not hearing on air for the final moments because they've had to clear off. In the pit lane, Bruce Ioane, and delighted to have Louise Beckett back with us. Always a pleasure to have Louise in the crew. And also our additions to the WEC crew in the commentary position. Peter Dumbreck joining us on commentary for the umpteenth time. New boy Rob Bell covered himself very nicely indeed. And also delight to have David Addison back on the team. And we look forward to seeing those guys again at other race meetings throughout the year. Well, it was a tough battle. There was no, since we're heading into the Euros, there were 3 groups of death, weren't they? There were no easy matches. I mean, in footballing parlance, if you're in a hypercar, you're basically playing 12 Brazils or 12 Germanys, you know, and it's the same in each of the classes. This rule set, Anthony, when we talked about the ACO and the FIA about it for the first time, it's a whole different way of going about making rules. Formula One is wait for somebody to find a loophole, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it. Here, it's we're giving you these targets, we're giving you these opportunities to perform. Go get it.
You don't have to compare different racing categories out there. I enjoy watching them all.
No,
NASCAR,
I'm not saying.
Formula E. It's just as long as they've got 4 wheels and an engine, I'm happy to watch it. And it's been an epic motor racing event. This one, it really has. I've always said. Coming into this race, at the best of times, that it's a challenge first, then a motor race.
Yeah.
I think it was very much that this time around.
An ordeal, I think it was this time. I mean, we're watching your transition through this race, and you've said it so many times, and just how tough a race this was to finish, let alone to win.
I think I said it way earlier in the race when I was watching the rain coming down and they're on their cold slicks without their tyre warmers. I said, there's a moment, particularly here at Le Mans, there's a moment when now I'm retired as a driver, I wish that I was out there. Not this event, really, not this event.
Well, happily.
As I went to sleep, my 2 hours that I grabbed in the night last night, I did go to sleep hearing the rain pouring down on the roof, thinking, I'm just so glad I'm not out there right now.
We've seen the absolute epitome of the factory-bred professionalism here, but we're about to see the final podium of the day, and this, for me, is... I think that we're going to see the hypercar teams podium, aren't we, first? Harry Tinknell, Julian Andlauer and Neil Jani from Proton Competition. They're going to be disappointed. It didn't go the way they hoped it would go.
Yeah, massively disappointed, especially after the promise that they showed at the last race in Spa. In that car, it had true speed. But, yeah, it wasn't to be this race. And Jenson Button there. Great to see him at Jota, a regular of the World Endurance Championship with that team. It's not just a one-off this year for him at Le Mans. And with his car crew, a car 38, Ollie Rasmussen and Phil Hansen. Phil Hansen actually drove a blinder, I thought.
And by the way, first appearance on a podium at Le Mans for Jenson Button, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would think so.
Did he not achieve that in SMP
I don't think they finished in the top 3, not in LMP1.
But the winners in the Hypercar Teams World Cup is the extraordinary story that is the number 12 from Hertz Team Jota.
Oh, the ups and downs that they've had this weekend.
And without question, the Jota mechanics must be the most exhausted humans in the Western Hemisphere.
Nominato, Callum Islets, Tom Wagner, who joined us in the booth earlier, and delighted to see that finally, by standing on the top step of the podium, Will Stevens is as tall as Harry Tinknell there.
I can't laugh at that.
But three real talents, and this is going to help no small measure in their push for the Drivers' World Championship, which, whilst they're in the Teams World Cup, the Drivers' World Championship is open to these crews.
Winners of the last race, the guys standing on the top step there.
Absolutely.
Yep. And could so easily have won this one as well. And what a Le Mans story that would have been. And it's exactly the sort of story that this race does produce. But yeah, from the entire Hertz Team Jota crew, the crew of number 12 and the crew of 38, who just basically worked around the clock in shifts to build a bare bone shell into a brand new car. That was good enough not just to start up, but to finish the race and finish as the top car of the privateer teams. That's just an unbelievable achievement, and I'm sure they must be feeling more emotional than at any time in their entire lives right now, because exhaustion is an astonishing thing, and I'm sure they're feeling it.
Tom Wagner from Nottingham Capital gets the big trophy. They'll be going home, I'm sure, to Tunbridge Wells in the UK for Hertz Team Jota's base. Zero doubt there'll be a few replicas to that one doing the rounds amongst so
hats off. Of all the achievements this week, Hertz Team Jota, I think in terms of actual human endeavour, it's it. That's it. That is it.
The newest hypercar on the planet.
Yes.
I mean, when did they shake that car down?
Friday afternoon.
8 o'clock at night, was it?
It was
Thursday
night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it'd take them just under 48 hours to build it from scratch. Effectively 2 cars made into one.
And it made it all the way through to the end.
I don't think it had much trouble, actually.
I don't think it did.
No, they had a really strong race, and both cars were firmly up in the top half dozen. If things had gone differently with weather and safety cars, they could have been right in there swinging. As it was, 6 Porsches, not one of them got on the podium. 2 Ferraris, both of them on the podium, 2 Toyotas, one of them on the podium, and 2 Porsches in the top half dozen, but still 6 Porsches, and they didn't get on the podium, and they all had speed.
Yes.
They all had speed. All right, 99 had nothing other than just sheer rotten luck, but they all had speed. And that's the thing with all these brands, the cars that made it into hypercar, into hyperpole, showed just how quick the other cars of that brand could be.
What we didn't see for Porsche here over the last 2 days was the sustained pace we've seen prior to this in this season. Somehow, Le Mans did not suit that package this year, as well as the cars that we saw closer and more often towards the head of the field.
I think in the dry, the Toyota always had the legs on them, but all the way through in the dry, the Toyota had the legs on them, no matter which tyre compound they are on. But for me, the Ferrari only really started to have sheer speed over Porsche, at least, when they were on the medium tyre. That's really when their car came alive. The Porsche seemed to, it could get tyre temping well, and that's probably what gave them the hyperpole lap that Estra drove. But yeah, it just started to fade away, didn't it, towards the end of season. We haven't seen this year in WEC.
What we do know, undoubtedly now, from the first half of this WEC season, including this amazing 24 Hours of Le Mans, these cars can race, and they can race each other, and they can do it from the beginning to the end. That is the overall point standings. The number 12 car leads the Hypercar World Cup, the FIA World Cup, 128 points from Proton Competitions 99. Then the AF Corsa car that Neil scored today, and the 38 car that got some decent points on the board. One more podium to come.
Yep. Pro-Am LMP2, and a return to the Le Mans podium for Francois Perraudot.
So that we're going to see in third place DKR Engineering from Luxembourg. In second place, AO by TF, a dinosaur, a dragon, gets on the podium at Le Mans. And the winners will be AF Corsa and the 183. Why 183? Because 83 is taken by the privateer hypercar. Why is that 83? Because the AF Corsa team manager saving that number for when Francois Broder can join a car somewhere in the WEC.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, out in third place come DKR Engineering, their first entry in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They've been champions, multiple champions in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, racing successfully in the European Le Mans Series, and here now on the podium at Le Mans in LMP2.
So LMP2 Pro-Am, Alexander Matchell, Lawrence Herr and Rennie Bender. It is Louis Delatraz with PJ Hyatt. And then the winners, Nico Veroni there, Francois Perrodo and Ben Barnicoat for AF Corsa.
Alex Quinn, the third driver of the AO by TF car. PJ Hyatt doing himself in some aerial winners. Nico Veroni, Ben Barnicoat, and somewhere in there is Francois Perrodo.
These guys shaking hands is what he's done. Gunnar Jeanette there, the team boss of AO Racing, based in the United States.
Second consecutive Le Mans win for Nico Veroni, the tall figure on the left there. Last year with Ben Keating and Nicky Katzberg, they won in GTE AM in the Corvette. And Francois Perrodo, a serial winner and champion in World Endurance Racing, now racing in European Le Mans Series in LMP2. And Ben Barnicoat on the right-hand side of the top step. It is Fred Lecar, who is the boss of LMEM, Le Mans Endurance Management, that administrates the Michelin Le Mans Cup, European Le Mans Series, and also the World Endurance Championship, who hands out the trophies.
Kenty Genglas, long-standing boss of DKR Engineering, goes way back to the start of this century in GT1. Some very happy faces on this podium. This is where the passion lies as well.
Yeah.
The Pro-Am side of this sport is what keeps the engine behind the 24 Hours of Le Mans running. Not just, of course, the FI World Endurance Championship, but the European Le Mans Series, the Asian Le Mans Series, and for that matter, the Pro-Am talents that come along, including PJ Hyatt from the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Was Gunnar Jeanette there on the left not at one stage the youngest driver to start Le Mans? I thought he was.
He was.
A long time ago, obviously.
Awfully long time ago.
He was indeed. And our winners, they receive the biggest replicas and the biggest trophy.
At 18 years old, by the way, he became the youngest ever finisher of the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2000.
There again, the Breton colours so proudly worn on Francois Perrodo's car. And Nico Veroni on the left, Ben Barnicoat on the right, his co-drivers here It was a really strong run for them, and only just off the overall podium. How much only just? 1.8 seconds off third overall.
First win for Ben Barnicoat, we shouldn't forget that. He's been extraordinary. He's the reigning GTD Pro Champion in IMSA and brings home a Le Mans class win in 2024.
And that is our final podium for Le Mans 2024. So many stories to be told, so many more to be written in the rest of the series in Sao Paulo at the beginning of September. Last weekend of August in September in Kota. Get tickets now. If you're watching this in the USA, come and see these guys for real. It is always this close. Le Mans is not a freak standout. It is always this close. And then we go for the penultimate race of the series at Fuji in Japan. And we finish off the championship, as so often, in Bahrain. So 4 races down, 4 races to go, and lots more stories to be written as we finish the World Endurance Championship in November. But there are tickets available for all the remaining rounds. And I cannot urge you strongly enough, if you've never been to the Circuit of the Americas, it's a great facility, it produces great racing, and sometimes it rains, but usually it's warm and dry. And these cars are well worth the trip to come and see them.
It's going to be very different conditions in Kota compared to this race. Very different.
It better be. I can remember a couple of very wet races
I'll
in
remind
Kota.
you of that. I'll remind you it's going to be scorchio beyond belief.
Well, the good news is we won't be in a rattly caravan, so there's that.
I can always organise that if you want.
Francois Prodo, Ben Barnicoat, Nico Veroni are Pro-Am LMP2 winners. Congratulations indeed to them. And thank you on behalf of everybody here in the ACO TV crew for joining us. Here is the official classification of Le Mans 24 Hours. The 50 Ferrari and the 51 Ferrari sandwiched the number 7 Toyota in the overall podium. United Autosports, Inter Europol and EDEC in LMP2. AF Corsa, AO by TF and DKR in Pro-Am. And it's Manthey EMA, Team WRT and Proton, who are the top 3 in LMGT3. On behalf of everybody here, for Olivier, our director, and for the entire TV crew, I'm just delighted as ever to be part of this huge operation. For everybody who you've heard and seen on air, finally, for the rest of the season, we'll be back with you. Graham Goodwin, Anthony Davidson, me, Martin Haven, from Le Mans 2024. Au revoir and goodbye.